Very good. Okay. So you see it, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Just get rid of this. All right. Here you go. So, Rogue's Heist. So we talked a lot about AI, about trading, about learning how to use AI and stuff like that. And all of this is actually culminating in this project called Rogue's Heist, which started with the idea of creating a parody, basically inspired on Star Wars and the Guy Ritchie style of directing. And we used actually a original world created by Yellow Medusa, who's a YouTuber who creates AI videos of that kind. So the main idea is, because our company Beyond is working with game-based learning, the idea was to create a game that shows what can be done with AI and what can be done with interactive learning, branching, and things like that. So as we talked before, instead of having multiple videos and then a quiz like the traditional online learning, here we work a lot with branching. And this is also to showcase that even though it's a complex project, it's to showcase that you can build something like that quite easily. Okay, so voilà, we have a pre-launch page because we're starting a Kickstarter campaign for it next month. And now I will get more into the details of how the game is built. So first of all, the way that the game is designed is a huge collection of videos. Okay, so each scene is a short video, and then based on the decision you take, like in a role-playing game, you will branch and you will move from one video to the other. In the videos, we have different parts. We have videos where you communicate with a character, the one providing you with content, and then you have videos that are more like cutscenes, like real video showing you things that happens, like you can see here the explosion. So for example, let's take this video of Uncle Toby, who's replacing Obi-Wan Kenobi. And in here, well, I will actually play it. You won't hear the audio, I guess. I don't know.
Pay attention.
Do you hear it or not?
I hear it very slightly, but I do hear it.
Okay.
Gotta beef up those skills, of course. Now go.
So basically, what happens is that you, as the hero, wants to get revenge, but you're unskilled. Like in a training, like in you want to improve and get different training skills, skills trained. So you will have the lightsaber, shooting, and then the boost, which is the sort of a power. Then you have also finances that you can use in order to buy or get access to the training. Now the design is still going to change. Those won't be the final icons. And then you have a map where you can click and meet the different characters that can be allies that can train you, and other characters that can be enemies, but you won't see them at the start. So for example, when you click on our friend Bobby Fetch, so you don't have any music yet. This is things that we still have to develop with, of course, with AI. But he will be able to teach you how to train with a gun, with a blaster. Okay, but of course you need to get the money in order to be able to afford the training. So we move forward. So here, for example, depending of the money that you have, you will have access or not to the training, and you can decide to spend it or not. What happens here is that you will also have to think a little bit through, because you can train in 3 skills. You can fail in the training. So if you fail in the training, you continue unskilled in that specific skill. So imagine you have with him the shooting, and you have the shooting game, which is a mini game developed with Drive. If you miss, then you continue the game where losing the money and at the same time not having the skill to use later on. Okay, in order to fulfill and finish the game, you actually need at least the big minimum 1 skill. If you fail the 3 skills trainings, basically you lose the game. Also, you will have to think about your financials, because they don't necessarily give you access to all the training. So depending who you meet, if you negotiate, because in some cases you have to fight, in other cases you're able to negotiate. So the game develops in different ways. Let's get back to the canvas. So for example, I was talking with this guy. So before starting a game, you would have an intro video like like this one. This is one example. Those were done with runway 2. Now we're getting into runway 3. So of course the quality will adapt also and evolve. Everything is in 4K. So the nice screens will be able to
Yeah, I was
enjoy
gonna
it
say
more.
this looks really good.
Okay. And then hop, it ends, and then you get to the training zone. So for the training, we use Rive. I don't know if you've heard about it. I call it like the new Flash. It's in order to create animation, and it's truly awesome. It's an amazing platform. So it means that we don't program anything. It's all with the AI content that we use and that we animate. So you will have at the start 3 games. One for the shooting, the saber, and then the boost. So for example, for the boost, you have this game where you have to click at the right time in order to have it go up or down. So it's an agility game. Okay, of course it gets more and more difficult each time. You only have one chance to get skilled or continue unskilled. Okay. This is one example. If you succeed, I fail. If you fail, you go down, and then you have 1 minute for it. For the shooting, you have another game. Hold on. Voila. Those games are not finalized yet. They're still in development. So here it's really you control and you shoot. And if you succeed, you move forward. Again, if you fail, you don't get access to that specific skill. Okay, here I failed. So I will continue in the branch without that skill. And all of this will culminate in a boss game, which you can negotiate or you can fight. Okay, and after that the skills will continue to be useful. But in this boss game, actually, and this is interesting because we have this game 6 times based on how many skills you have, you will have to fight Baba the boss. And then based on the powers you have the sword, for example, you have here the shooting.
Yeah.
And you can have here the shields.
That's so cool.
So here you have the shield. Okay. And of course, if you get hit, let's get hit by the guy here. You die. Of course, it's a bit gory, huh?
Yeah.
Voilà. So this is, for example, one of the boss fights that you have in the middle of the game. And basically, depending on which skills you have, and you need at least one of those skills, you will be able to fight against him. But of course, if you only have the sword skill because you failed the 2 other trainings before, it will be much more difficult than if you have the three different skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
That gives you like a different experience every time you're playing through it.
Exactly. So if you find that the 3 skills are too easy, then you replay the game and you try it with only 1 skill, or you try negotiating through a different way in order to not have to fight that specific enemy. So of course, what happens is that here you can see, this is in this case here, you only see that is the beginning. The early beginning, and we will have hundreds of branches based on the different contents. Also, we're using a platform without programming, so nothing is encoded. It means that for each specific case, for example, if you spend money on a specific training, you will have a different branch of videos. So when I showed you the content here, if I go there, hold on. So this part, it's not programmed. It means that it's animated based on the decision you take.
Okay, interesting.
Meaning that people that don't know programming can do it without any line of code, basically. There's not one line of code in the whole thing. Then, so the game is designed in 3 acts. Act 1 is where you meet the people, the mates, the people that can help you and train you. Act 2 is actually when you test your skills and get to a specific level where you will take a spaceship and go save Princess Leila. Okay, based on your decisions, Act 3 will completely change, meaning that because it's based on Guy Ritchie directing, you can't really know what to expect. I mean, the enemy can be a friend, your friend can be an enemy, and you can have a lot of different and funny situations. Also, all the texts, the way that the characters talk, everything is really linked to the way that the British Guy Ritchie style. So you will have Cockney accent, you will have different slang, which are funny to read and funny to hear. So it's definitely not politically correct as a type of game. So basically, that's how the whole game works. Of course, again, everything is done using AI. So we use Midjourney and other platforms to create first the images. Then we use Runway and again other platforms to create the animations and videos. 11 Labs for the voices. Sora, mainly Sora for the music. And also we will have the idea is that it's all congruent. So it's really a whole story. Everything has to be connected. And to give the experience of learning and feeling what happens when you fail something. The whole game should take between 1 hour and 2 hours, at least the first time that you play, between the videos and the whole content and the several mini games, because you will have other mini games coming later in the third act. Or even in the first act. And then in the third act, people will also be able, through the Kickstarter campaign, to have their face or their character in the game. So we will create some additional characters just for the fun, to add additional more content. And you will also have some enemies, so people would be able to be enemies or allies, other allies of Sunshine during the third act.
I think that's really cool. I think the thing that wowed me the most is when you said that there's not a single line of code. I think that's crazy, and it just showcases, how powerful AI can be for something like this.
And it's of course it's not as advanced as an AAA game or even an indie game where you use coding or you use real game engines, because here the game engine is actually branched videos, because the objective here, though it's a game and it has to be fun, the objective here is not to create a game for the sake of creating a game, but actually for showing that online learning can be done differently. It doesn't have to be a sci-fi game, of course, but that you can create that with the way of branching. It's more immersive. People also have a desire to know what's coming next, rather than just doing one video after the other. And when they fail, they still continue and say, okay, I failed, let's succeed this time, let's continue and see what happens.
You're making it with it, and I think it's really interesting, especially with the branching feature. If I make a mistake this time, it's encouraging me to go back through it and try to not make that mistake the next time, or intentionally make a mistake to see where this leads me, to see how how else could I have tackled this issue or tackled this game.
The plan is also somewhere use this knowledge, this know-how, in order to help other people that are interested in creating such kind of content, to leverage the different platforms. I mean, they're all easily accessible. It's not that you need a PhD to develop something like that. And this can help, people that would like to create games with AI, or people that are professional trainer, instructional designers that say, hey, I would like to do something like that, because you can already do some branching with platforms like Storyline. You can even do it with PowerPoint if you want, but of course it's not as powerful as something like that.
Yeah, it's not as powerful as the gamification of this, because I've said this before, I would much rather learn this way about a new topic or be trained on something new this way compared to the cut and dry video quiz. It's just this way is just it's much more entertaining.
Definitely. Also, what's fun in such a project is that you have the game itself, but everything surrounding it. So for example, the different characters in the game are like AI actors. So the idea is to give life to those AI characters and use them to like influencers, or like AI teachers or coaches. They can provide additional information about how stuff can be done online outside of the game itself. And this is also why we want to create a online community like a Facebook or LinkedIn that is specifically focused on AI gaming and training, where people can have access to those tools, just enjoy and create, or actually use it to develop learning content.
Yeah. So I know you're definitely the pioneer of this. Like, you guys are the first one starting out showcasing that this is possible that this is something we could look forward to. Do you see this continuing to grow in size of people using it and making it become more mainstream as in terms of okay, we're having a training, this becomes one of the more popular options. Do you see that, playing out in the near future?
So I would say definitely, not necessarily with us or with the technologies that we're using,
Hmm.
but it's a bit like Tesla with their cars.
Yeah.
They give the technology to other people, and now you have many companies using creating electric cars. So here,
Hmm.
what we want to do with this game is to showcase we can move forward, and you don't have to be afraid of AI. You can use it, and even if we're talking about training, you don't necessarily need to use AI, but the whole branching idea can be very useful.
Yeah.
And if you require additional content, AI in that case can help you. So it's really to show you have different tools that you can put together and create easily something new. Of course, I
Yeah.
say easily, we're working on that game for a few months already, but if you want to create a training on, I don't know, leadership or something else, if you already have the content, you can use AI avatars or just record yourself, give different options. Like your quiz would be different options. You can
Hmm.
use some Rive mini games. It's easy to find freelancers that can help you build them
Yeah.
and gamify the content, make it more fun. Voilà. So yes, I think there's definitely a future in it. I think it will also evolve a lot. We're just at the beginning. Gamification does so that, especially with younger people, they're continuously on games. They're
Hmm.
much more accustomed in using gamified solutions, so it makes also more sense for them to use gamified learning rather than just more traditional content,
Yeah.
more traditional linear content.
Hmm. I remember back in the day, when I had it was called like a Leap Pad or something. I was learning I was learning through the video games. I'd learn a lot in person, out and about, but there was so much that I would learn like through the games themselves. And I'm seeing that more and more, especially with the younger generation. They're on their screens so much, that's what they're learning from. So having
Yeah.
something that they're more accustomed to could definitely help. And I think that branching idea, it's something that would set you apart the most. If you were to be a trainer, like for example, with my own trainings, if I were to take this idea and start implementing it, it's like, okay, maybe they learn a different way that okay, they answer this question differently. Now they're going down this other branch that's more accustomed to how they would rather, approach this. So I think it's really interesting. It's something that I'm personally going to be looking into and seeing where that fits into my processes.
I think that it's an excellent exercise for the trainers themselves.
Hmm.
Because it's one thing to put linearly content, it's something else to think about what happens in different cases. And because your story, it's not one video after the other. It's instead of that, if you give two choices, then you start with two different videos, and then they create additional different videos, etc., etc. So the content that you create is actually more complete. You have
Yeah.
more, you create more content, and the end user will not necessarily see the whole of it. Like a video game, you
Hmm.
rarely see all the content, but you will be able
Exactly.
to play several times in order to create the whole, try to have the whole
Yeah.
picture at the end.
Yeah, it's a more comprehensive overview, and it gives them that options. I think it's really interesting. I had a thought, and then it escaped me as you were talking. You started talking about video games, and for some reason my brain started thinking about like the new Elden Ring. Have you ever played Elden Ring? I was thinking
Which
about the
one?
Elden Ring, the new
Elden Ring. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, I know the game, of course, but I didn't.
yeah. It just got me thinking about Elden Ring, and my brain just started trailing off. But yeah, no,
No,
it's really interesting. I'll let you talk for a second. I gotta recollect my thoughts.
no problem. Yeah, me too, actually. Without going so far as to create an Elden Ring or a Baldur's Gate, or there's still a lot that you can create that is more simple and more suited, at least for in the case of online training. I think
Mhm.
also the big step will be VR and AR. Why? Because the same game mechanics can of course be used with virtual reality. And the moment that you will have goggles that are not too expensive and easy to use,
Mhm.
more ergonomic, that would be really the next step. I think that here it's more like a hybrid solution. where you're still on 2D screens in
Yeah.
preparation of what's coming. The same way
Mhm.
that we talked about that in previously, the metaverse, the 3D, it can be used on screens, of course. But trying to push to go too fast, you actually create a negative
Yeah.
impact.
I think it's one
Especially
of those.
when we,
I was just saying. I think it's
especially
one of those. You continue.
no, please go, please go.
I think it's one of those things where you have to take your time with it. You have to slowly start integrating it to make sure that, all right, if we're going to be starting to use like VR training and stuff, you want to make sure that you're starting it at a right time. Because if you start it too early, like you said, you have that negative feedback. You want to make sure that it's complete enough that they're getting the true benefit of this and they're seeing the vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. What's also interesting with models like this is that it's online and it's a link. So you can actually include it in any LMS system. So you have a company that use LMS systems and they have access to different online training. This can be one of those. Or I mean, you can have a catalog of interactive
Mm-hmm.
e-learning. And I think that in that case, it will become, if people realize the potential in it, it will become more and more used, simply because you go beyond what's done today.
Yeah.
And it technically, it's very easy to implement, just because it's a link.
Yeah. And you just like you said, you learn so much better through this. Like as much as you can learn through watching somebody else talk through a topic, the idea of being able to interact with this topic and learn through doing is, that's truly to me interactive learning. A lot of people will label their stuff as interactive learning because they have quizzes. That's not interactive learning to me. That being able to actually get my hands dirty, mess around with whatever we're trying to learn, that to me is interactive learning. And that to me is allowing me the opportunity to learn better than what I usually would.
Now, in our case, it's a sci-fi game. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, you could do it with any content, any subject. For example, I saw someone who made an AI video about the pollution of the earth. Very nice movie about all the bad things we do and how we can improve it. I know also people that created short storylines games. The interactive games, for example, to know where you have to throw for recycling, where you have to throw each thing, where do you throw your banana, where you throw your can, etc. Actually, by using this branching system with AI, you really can create an immersive movie about you being, for example, the hero that has to help clean the city,
Yeah.
or you start in the slums and you would like to live in a better place. What do you have to do in order to get there, or
Mm-hmm.
to help your people, your neighbors get there? So without actually going so much in depth as creating a strategy game or something like that, by creating short movies and branchings and mini games, you can really give the people the impression that they evolve in a specific way.
Yeah.
On the contrary, that they really fail and feel the failure.
Yeah, then feel, then learn from it. Learn, okay,
Yeah,
if I were to go back through this, how would it look like if I were to make these couple of decisions differently? I think that could really
exactly.
be useful, especially with like the younger generation, being able to, maybe like you talk about like the pollution, for example. Maybe a kid was used to always throwing his trash here or something like that, and they went through this training and they're like, okay, I realize when I do that, something bad might happen. I need to, I'm gonna go back through, and when I try it again, I see, okay, now I can feel happier if I were to be, recycling, for example. Something simple, even those little
Yeah,
simple examples could really benefit people.
definitely. What can be also interesting, for example, these kind of things can be done at school to have. I'm definitely not in favor of having children continuously in front of screen,
Yeah.
but these kind of small games can help get more knowledge and exercise. And this can also be used, for example, if you, instead of having one person in front of the screen, you put two or three, whether it's children or adults in
Mm-hmm.
other games, and have them decide which choice to take.
Oh, okay. I like
Take the
that.
blue pill or the red pill, and based on
Mm-hmm.
those, you will have repercussions. So just having discuss about this dilemma and which choice to take is an interesting exercise.
Yeah, I think especially, it's funny enough you said that. It really got me thinking about Baldur's Gate, when you have, if you're playing with friends they can like decide, okay, I want you to pick this option, and then you can either decide to pick that option because that's the heavy favorite, or you can go with your own choice. I think I made that connection. And it does that. That's a team building exercise in my eyes. Like
Yeah.
if I were to be working with a couple other individuals and we come up with some sort of dilemma where we're like, okay, we need to work through it as a group. What do we think is the best option? So instead of it being okay, one person's maybe in charge, but everyone else gets their slice of the pie of deciding, okay, what's the best decision here to go forward. Then you learn, okay, was this decision actually good for us, or did it lead to problems down the line that we need to come back and fix now?
Yeah, we actually created a game like that in a 3D environment. We're also in a sci-fi world where the team has to define 2 teams, and they have to they have to meet 9 different characters, like 9 different heroes, and select 6 out of them and structure the teams. And the whole discussion is, who are they going to go for which position, in which team, based on their character traits, their skills, their objectives, things like that. And the game itself is just a context to have a conversation, understand the perception or the perception the different colleagues have. And it's a very interesting exercise because based on the company's culture, you will see a lot of resemblance. And yet you will have some differences based also on different facets, but I won't get into details right now. This, with the branching here, it's an easier way to do something like that.
That's pretty interesting. I'd love to see that game as well. Is that game already out? Is something I could mess around with?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that might be something I look into. I might mess around with, get some of my buddies. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I can send it to you another time with some explanation.
For sure. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up here?
No, I think we had a lot of exchanges before. What I wanted to say also is that we will be continuously looking for content. This is a test, and of course, if people with a AI world, they created an AI world and they would like to transform it into an interactive game, we're open to listen. On the other hand, if trainers, coaches would like to know more, of course, get in touch. We'd love to have also a conversation. This is, for us, it's really a way to say, hey, we developed that, we push it towards you, and now let's have a conversation and see how we can use this technologies, because we're using a lot of different applications here, to come up with new content that is useful for everyone, fun and useful.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I love what you guys are doing over there. It's really interesting to me. That's part of the reason why when I talked to Justin about this opportunity, I said, I'm in. I'm totally in. I want to know more. I think it's really cool. And as somebody that loves and that does training, it just seems like a perfect fit to learn more about what the possibilities are out there.
Great. So if you have ideas and you want to further discuss this, don't hesitate.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, it was great talking to you. If I have anything else you want to talk about or questions, I'll hit you with your line. Yeah.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you, man. I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.